I think it was obviously something that down the line I thought about writing a book, just not necessarily a biography of me, but something along the lines of, kind of, what has got me kind of where I am, some of the experiences I've had, some of the stories, and some of the things that have shaped me to, to who I am today. I talked to my dad about it, talked to some of the guys around me about it, and we came up with this. And it's been a lot of fun, telling stories. The book has a lot of principles that my mom and dad used to kind of raise me, and some of the things that, that they taught me at a young age and growing up.
It kind of boiled out of I've been coaching my whole life, and a lot of it I coach Colt, and I'm doing a lot of motivational speaking and working with coaches all over the country. And I had given a keynote somewhere where some people had took some notes about some of the things that we do on our teams and some of the things that I did with our kids in raising them. And they said, look, that would make a great book. Would you put those principles down and kind of talk about Colt? I think people were interested in knowing how he was raised, how he was able to go from a small school to a large university and now the NFL and be successful on this stage so far. So I think that's where it came out of, was just some principles that his mom and I have raised our kids by, and also those principles that we coached our teams with through the years. He doesn't even know how big a deal it is for me to be able to spend that kind of time with him and go through and reminisce of all the little things that went on when we were a little child and a father, and the things that really meant a lot to him that I didn't know were that big of a deal. So it was really a lot of fun for me as a dad to have that kind of relationship and to put something down in a book form that's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, one piece of advice I would give to a parent who coaches their child to start out with is, there's got to be a separation between the parent as a coach and the parent as a parent. And I think my dad did a great job of that when we were growing up, because I had my dad as my coach. And I knew the difference between my dad being a coach and my dad being a dad, and I think that was huge, especially at a young age growing up. And a piece of advice for a kid who has one of their parents as a coach would be, understand that they're a coach and they have responsibilities to take care of not only you but the rest of the team, and they're going to hold you to a higher standard. They're going to expect more out of you, because nothing's going to be given to you. I just remember, sometimes being really frustrated because it was clear that I was, should be playing and should be the starter and should be on varsity, but I had to earn it 10 times over just so it would be clear to not only my team, my teammates, but to the community. And so you're going to have to work that just a little bit harder. You're going to have to go that extra mile, and just understand that every coach's kid has to do the same thing.
You really have to take a path with your child. You either have to be more extensive and more hard, or you have to let him get by with things. You really can't treat your son equal just like everybody else. It's really impossible to do. And so I took the path of I'm going to be harder on them, and my expectations are going to be higher from them. I don't want anybody of their friends or their parents to think that he's getting to play quarterback because he's my son. He's not better than the other guy. We had signals with that. I would take advantage of times when he would mess up in practice. He didn't mess up that much, but when he did, it would be a huge ordeal, because I wanted people to see if I will get on Colt that hard, his expectations of us are the same. There was an incident in his life that was early on in his age where there was a rodeo in town, and he wanted to ride the steers. It was a little kids contest, and he was probably 6 or 7 years old. And I knew he didn't want to, but we decided to let him. And at the time when it came time to really go do that, he decided he didn't want to before the competition started, and I made him go ahead and do that. And I just think that you have to take advantage of those moments, even when it's painful. There are times when your child is going to want to get out of something that he's hurting, and I think it's hard for parents, but you have to not let them out of it. You have to watch them go through that pain and suffering and let them mature and grow. We adopted 2 or 3 phrases and some principles that we wanted to raise our kids by. One was, prepare the child for the path, not the path for the child. simply, stating there's going to be a lot of things in these kids' lives that we're not going to be able to shape. The only thing we're going to do is be able to prepare them for whatever pitfalls happen in that road. And so that's what we tried to do. But we didn't go before them trying to make the road easy their whole lives. And the second was just an intentional statement I adopted when they were kids. I was coaching, so I took them to school every day, and I wanted to have something they heard me say. And we told them very regularly that we loved them, but the last thing they would hear me say as they got out of the car was, "Do your best and be a leader." Do your best. If your best is a B, a C, that's okay. We don't care. You don't have to make straight A's, but do your best. And if they didn't, we would question them, was it their best? But there's one thing that you can do, and that is always be a leader. You can do your best to lead people, to serve others, and to make others more important. And so those were some of the key principles, preparing the child for the path, do your best, be a leader, and be prepared for open and closed doors. And we tried to tell them there's going to be times that you're going to have those moments where a door's going to be open. Know what you want to say. Know how to help.
My parents did a tremendous job in just preparing me to go off to college. And when you go to college, it's kind of like you're away from home. You can make your own decisions. You have freedom. And so I just think the foundation that I had while I was at home really allowed me to overcome some of those challenges and obstacles that you face by making the right decision early on in college. I sat out my first year, redshirted, played behind Vince Young, learned a lot from him, but really just was able to kind of put all those emotions together, all the experiences that I had, and fight for the job and earn the job when I was a redshirt freshman, and have the opportunity to play for 4 years. So it was really, really special for me. I don't know how well prepared I was for that, just because I came from such a small school and playing it with so much media, national media, attention, fans, hundreds of thousands of people watching. But I just think that the way that my life had gone up to that point, the way that I was raised, I was able to handle that in a way that, I know wasn't perfect by any means, but I handled it in a way that I think allowed our team to be successful and allowed me to be successful. And taking my first snap was crazy. I mean, I'm an emotional guy, so I was excited. Any emotions that you think you would have, I had, but you can't let those get the best of you. You just got to keep playing, and eventually my junior, senior year, I didn't pay attention to anything. I was really solely focused on, winning games. And when I got entered in the national championship game, my whole career I had been building up for that moment. Practicing, studying, working, training, and to have it taken away 5 plays into a game, you can imagine how frustrated and upset that I was. But I think everybody has some point in their life, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 times, that it's really a pivotal moment. And for me, that was it. And it was hard. It was tough. I had relationships around me with my parents, my friends, teammates, coaches, that really kind of prepared me for that moment. And I'm proud of the way that I handled it after the game. But I wouldn't have handled it that way had I not had the relationships that I had, and support staff that I had around me. And you just have to trust that some things happen the way that they do, and you can't change it, and you just got to continue to move on. And at this point, I'm thankful that I have the opportunity to still play. At one point, we didn't know, so it was a tough day. It's frustrating, but we've overcome that and pressed on.
The national championship that day, that evening, was a culmination to a career for Colt and for me. We had set certain goals all of his life, and it's a cliche to say that he wasn't really, all the honors weren't what he was after. He wasn't after all the trophies. He wanted to lead his team to a national championship, and just like he wanted to lead his team to a state championship in high school. The accident, the injury, I still remember that sickness in my stomach when it happened, when I saw him walk off the field and tap his helmet. I'd never seen that, ever, and I'd coached him. it was hard for me to hurt because I knew how much he was hurting. And it was very obvious pretty quick that the injury was very substantial. And we prayed and prayed for that feeling to come back in his arm, that he would run out of that tunnel and lead his team. But it never happened. And God whispered to us that night and said, I know y'all's plans and all the plans and dreams of men. Well, that's not really what I had planned tonight. It's taken us a long time, probably us parents longer than it took Colt to understand that his purposes that night were not to win the national championship. And they were much higher than that.
At the end of the week, we were getting ready to go play Pittsburgh, and that was kind of the first week that I had really practiced with the starters. Really done much, if anything, in practice. I was the third string guy, and the two guys in front of us, had their injuries. We weren't playing well, and so I was kind of thrown into it. And end of the week, it's time to break it out, and usually the quarterback's that guy, and I told all the guys, hey, great week, good preparation. Everybody was still concerned, we got a rookie quarterback, he hadn't done anything in practice. And I just broke it, told him the hay is in the barn, meaning, I grew up out in the country, and the term the hay is in the barn means you've harvested the hay, you've put it in the barn, the work is over. And that's kind of what my meaning towards saying that to my team was, hey, we've worked all week, we're prepared, the hay's in the barn, now let's go, let's go compete, let's go play. And I had to explain it to most everybody on my team, and it was pretty funny. But they got a kick out of it. We didn't win the game, but we played well, and I kind of think that kind of spurred us on for a few weeks there where we played pretty well.
I laughed when I heard him say that because I knew that there'd be half his team that had no clue what he was saying. But once again, it's just part of who he is and the image that he carries.
My faith has played obviously an important role in my life. It's the most important thing above, my wife, above my family, above football. My faith is what leads me and guides me each and every day. And, I know that I wouldn't be where I am right now without it.
I think Colt is being allowed to play at this high level and be used in order to further the kingdom. I really believe that as a dad. There wasn't anybody that coached any harder or wanted to win any worse than I did. Tough guy, football. But down deep inside, those were the messages we tried to give to our kids more than anything else. Is that all these things we're teaching you, they'll carry you a long way. But if you don't have this, you're not going to get anywhere.
There's been times throughout my career, whether it's college or the NFL, where you doubt yourself. Am I good enough? Am I doing the right thing? And I think if every person or every athlete is honest, everybody goes through that a little bit, those struggles. And I think that is the mental side of becoming the best that you can be. What's holding you back? What are your constraints? And for me, it goes back to those relationships that I talked about earlier, the guys I've been able to talk to and lean on. And it's hard. You're in the spotlight a lot. You got media around you telling you can't do this, creating doubt in yourself. He's not good enough. He can't play at this high level. He's good enough to win 8 or 9, 10 games, but he can't get us over to the top. And those types of things naturally create a little bit of doubt in you. But it's all about how you overcome that and how you believe in yourself and how you can. I think a leader can help guys around him become the best they can be, not only yourself but others. And so that was kind of my MO, was that nobody was going to be more prepared in a game. Somebody might have more talent, somebody might be bigger, somebody might be stronger, but nobody was going to be more prepared than me going into the game. And that's what I try to live by every week. That's what's got me where I am, on the physical and mental side of the game. So you've got to overcome that. Thoughts become things. I try to think positive all the time, and realize that somehow, some way, that's going to carry over, and I'm gonna play great today. And that's how I think.
It was really hard those first few college games to sit in the stands because I'd been the play caller. I knew what was going to happen. to turn that responsibility over to someone else was tough. And as he's gone to the NFL, it hadn't been as hard because I haven't been doing it for years. But it's a tough situation for a dad to let go when you've been as close to your son as you have been. And that's probably been a lot more of a struggle for me than it has for Colt. And we're trying to grow through that. Everybody goes through stages of your life, and that's the stage that we're in right now. I still coach him. I still critique him. And when he asks me, I'll tell him. And I love to talk to him about football, but I try not to do it on my own initiative, just because that's probably not what he needs.
I never have the attitude that, I have arrived. I am somebody. I've done something. Especially in a team sport, that's where you can't cross that line. You have to go in with the understanding of, hey, I haven't done anything yet. No matter how many All-American, everything awards I have, everyone else on my team has the same, scrapbook full of all the stuff. And I think the ones who do really make it are the ones who have the attitude of, hey, I have done nothing yet. I'm starting over. I'm a small fish in big water, and I've got to grow. I've got to mature. I've got to make a name for myself here. Everything else doesn't matter. And so that's the advice that I give. Never lose your sight of your dreams and your goals and what's got you there and where you want to be. I think that attitude will definitely get you somewhere.
I think goals are the most important thing, that we have to set them. If our goals are unspoken and unwritten, it's hard to stay by them. And I think that's what happens to a lot of athletes. They get to an elite level, and even though there's so much more that they could do, they feel like they've done it. The old saying of the mistake is setting your goal so high and you aim for it and you miss and it just crushes you. That's really not the problem. The biggest problem we have in our culture is we aim too low and we hit our mark, and we should quit striving to be better. And so that's what I would recommend athletes is set them high and see them, have a goal and always be looking at it. As far as coaches going into that elite and coaching elite athletes, they're special people. They're people that you really need to push. I knew early on that Colt was very blessed, that God had given him some special abilities. And we talked as early as 7 or 8 years old, and he said, Dad, I really want to be good. I really want to be the best I can be and win a state championship, maybe play in college. And we just talked about setting those goals, and nothing he ever said, no matter how off the wall it was, did I ever discourage. Yeah, okay, if you want to do that, let's do it. I'll help you, but it's going to be really hard. I love talking to people about being leaders. What does it take for us to be leaders in our world today? And I truly believe the definition of a leader is one who cares about the success of others. And so that's what this is about. If Colt and I can be a leader and we can care about others more than we care about ourselves, which is a biblical principle, and people can read this and not get, oh, well, they're perfect, but they can get, hey, they're just like me. They're just like our family. Maybe we can do some of this too. Then we've done something that's worthwhile.
Some of the things I hope people will come away with after they read the book is, I guess, know a little bit about, me. Some of the stories that have shaped me, some of the experiences that I've had, and hopefully, I don't want them to think this as a biography of me. Like I've done it, I've made it, I'm in the NFL. I've got, my focus and my sights are set on a long career in the NFL. I want to play for a long time. Guys, majority of them write a book after they win the Super Bowl and those type of things. So that's not what this book really is. This book is aimed towards, helping parents with their kids. It's got my dad's and mom's principles that they really tried to use on me growing up. It's aimed towards athletes. Maybe they'll have some of the same experiences I had in college. I went through some ups and downs, a lot of success and sometimes, no success, and it was hard. So it's geared towards a lot of different age groups, different people, and I hope that somebody out there can take away something from here and apply it to their lives and learn and hopefully be stronger in a situation that I was in where I wasn't as strong, or be better at handling something than I was. And it's a teaching book. It helps people, and hopefully it'll help somebody out there. And if it helps one person, then I was supposed to write the book.